A lot of people struggle to believe that they are allowed to make a really good living doing things on their own terms. If I can encourage other people to be inspired by the way that I think about this, then happy days. Then I've done a good thing. On my gravestone, I wanted to say, this woman did a good thing.
Hi, everyone. I am so happy you're here today because I get to interview one of my favorite YouTubers, Georgie Newbery. She is a flower farmer in SOMERSET. She's just a lovely human being, so intelligent, enthusiastic, and so passionate about her purpose in life. I'll let you hear all about it. That flower arrangement is inspired by her. Of course, it's nothing like what she would do, but it's inspired by her talent. She has written several books, and you will find out all about her as you watch this video. If you're looking for purpose or if you're looking for inspiration, Georgie has become an inspiration for me. And I hope that she can touch your lives too. Thank you so much, Georgie, for coming and doing this for me. You are so generous with your time because, my gosh, I know how busy you are.
Oh, I don't know. I love to chat. I love to talk. And I'm on my own in my studio, or on my own in the field most of the time. So it's nice to have a chat.
I love having a chat with you. So I'm going to go ahead and start by asking you if you can give us a little background on you and your farm and your journey.
I'm married to a man called Fabrizio Bocca, and we moved here to this plot. It's a 7-acre plot, and we moved here in 2004. And before that, his background is antiques dealing and art. He's an artist. And my background is writing and journalism and developing TV programs. And before that, I worked for American Vogue. So I'm an old Voguette from Paris. I lived in Paris in the early 90s. And I worked with an amazing woman called Susan Train, who became a great mentor and a great friend. Anyway, I met my husband and we decided to find a farm. It's not really a farm. I mean, it's 7 acres, so it's not a huge place.
Huge for us. With a little backyard.
All the other farms around here, it's like it's kind of a joke farm. But we wanted to be market gardeners. We were fantasists. We thought we'd have animals and vegetable garden and sweet peas. And there was a man called... I'm being interviewed.
Okay. Do you feel more glamorous now than when you were working in Paris?
No. Less glamorous. I'm rather heavier than I was. And I never wear makeup anymore. And I don't have my hair done and my nails are not done. But I feel more healthy than I did when I was in Paris.
Fantastic. Because I've seen you jumping and tipping your heels. How do you do that? I can't even hardly bend over.
I guess it's a job that keeps you quite fit. You know, when you have your step count on your phone, I never do less than 10,000 steps in a day.
Wow.
So I guess the job keeps me quite fit. And you're bending over and picking stuff up. It's, weight bearing. It's hard work. My job is an endurance sport. So you pace yourself so you don't get exhausted. So I do take the dog for a walk, and I do sometimes go to an exercise class because otherwise I don't get my heart rate going.
As an American, just watching from here, just seem to have this idyllic life that everybody wants. And I know it's hard work, and I know it's cold. Look at you. And right now I'm sweating because it's like 60 degrees here in Texas. It's going to go below zero in a couple of days, but yes. It's always up and down. So we know... By watching you, you're always on the go. You have a million things that you get going all the time. And I was thinking about this last night. When do you sleep? Where do you even watch TV? Do you have time for that stuff?
I do. I mean, last evening, no, I do. I'm very, very, very organized. I don't work as hard as I look. I'm sure I don't work as hard as it looks as if I do. I strategize emptying the dishwasher. I have in the past occasionally just done things on autopilot. And that's a way to end up wasting your time. Just check with yourself why you're doing stuff, why you're making your choices. Literally from emptying the dishwasher to whether I'm going to hold a 3-day intensive floral workshop in the summer. If so long as you check why you're doing stuff all the time, you don't waste time. There's too much to do. It's not even that my job makes there's too much to do. But there is so much we could be doing, and I don't want to waste my time. So I'm very, very good at strategizing my time during the day. So yes, I taught a workshop for the RHS about social media in the morning. I had another workshop, one of my workshops, a lifestyle business workshop in the early evening. I'm rewriting my Flower Farmers yearbook, so I did a chunk of that.
Flower Farmers yearbook. Now tell me why you're rewriting it. It's a lovely book. It's fantastic. It has everything you need throughout the year if you want to be a farmer, but like for me.
Yeah, for everybody who wants to grow flowers. It's a great book. Right. I say it myself. So I'm just updating it. It's 10 years old and the world of growing flowers has changed so much in the last 10 years. So it's very valuable as it is now. So please, people watching, do rush out and buy it. But the business of growing flowers and the business of selling flowers has changed so much.
Right.
The market has changed, the way that people want to engage with flowering or florists, or, they want to order their flowers differently. So all of that's changed. So that I'm updating. And also, global warming is a thing. You're sitting there saying it's 60 degrees. It's very cold this week, but we haven't had really very much cold weather either this winter. Certainly my tulips will not get 3 months of cold weather.
Right.
So I will likely get very bad tulip fire. And I had already been thinking that I was going to not grow tulips commercially again. And this winter is just proving that point. And so I think there are things, if you're growing flowers for sale or for fun, yes, absolutely grow tulips. But, again, as I was saying before, just examine why you're doing stuff all the time. And so next year I won't grow so many tulips, definitely.
Right.
I'll grow them for pleasure, but not for sale.
Oh, I see. So when you say, okay, look at how you do things every time, when did that develop in you? Was that something that Googie taught you, or just
I was a really, really untidy child to the extent that she used to, I had a sign up in my bedroom that said, "Don't put it down, put it away." As a child, I read. My activity was reading, or I wanted to be an actor. So I did lots of reading, or I was doing a play all the time. It's only really running a business for myself that has taught me that if you're running a lifestyle business, you're always working on your own time. Nobody's going to pay you if you don't get the job done. And the more quickly you get the job done, the more time you get off. And so I try and teach this all the time to people running small businesses. It's yours. It's yours. You can do what you like with it. There are no rules that you have to abide by. You make all the choices. So in some ways it's really hard work because you have to be self-motivating. If you can't think what to do next, there's no one's going to tell you.
Oh, so true.
You have to be very, very self-motivated. And one of the ways to do that is to plan and plan and plan and plan so that your year is full of activities that you've decided are going to happen, which you then have to fulfill because otherwise you don't have enough money to eat. I teach people and I encourage people, including myself, the more organized you are, the more time you have, the more fun you can have, the more you can achieve, the more time you get off, the more time you have to do other stuff to learn. Otherwise one can become very static. I've been a farmer florist for 15 years, and it's been a really exciting time for my industry. It's kind of evolved with people like Florette in the States and me here, and my colleagues. There are some colleagues that have been around for as long as I have, and the business, every year there are more small flower growers, and it's fantastic because the more of us there are, the more the environment is fed by, there's plenty for the bees, and we're all doing a very good thing. So I really, really like that. But, 15 years into a job, if you're not good at it by then, you're really in trouble. So I've got quite good at what I do. And as a result, one can become very static. And so the skill is to make time to learn more.
Innovate, yeah. But let's go back to my type of audience, because I'd love for them to get to know you for what you have to teach. One thing that I am in love with is your free-flowing bouquets. When we think here, especially here in the U.S., yes, I kind of, you can't see, but you will see in the video, I have like a twiggity, what do you call when you do the twiggity pokes?
Twiggery pokery.
Twiggery pokeries. I have something back here that is showing on my camera that I did. But in Texas, where I live, our grocery store has flowers, but they do have a real resident florist. And you have to ask for European bouquets. And what you get are like these real formal, compact little things. But when I watch you, you just explode. And I think it might be your artistic background or Fabrizio's influence on you. I don't know. It's just like bigger than life. I love it.
If you're a florist, you have to have your own style. You can't be like everybody else. And I really like my floristry to look as though it's come straight from the garden. I always say I'm making miniature gardens. And so even like today, I've got flowers that I've ordered up from my Cornish colleagues. Here, look, little posies. All the flowers have come up from Cornwall today. But the greenery and the twiggery pokery has all come from my garden. And I just think it gives it life.
Yes.
You know, this going up here.
I have to show it. You inspired me.
Oh, gorgeous.
Right? It's my dry hydrangeas and just stuff that I found on the ground that fell with lichen in it.
Lovely. Oh, good.
Inspired by you. So let's talk about your classes. So for people like me who are just interested in, I looked at all your courses yesterday.
That's my website.
It is your website. And if we go to the workshop, I just went to Learn with Georgie. And and you talk about stuff, and look at this, a flower farming workshop package.
That's for people who want to grow flowers for sale. You don't have to have a big backyard to do it. You don't need a big space, but for people who want to start a small artisan flower farm, that is the mix for you. And then there's wedding flowers workshops, and those are for people who, you know, a lot of people want to grow their own or make their own flowers for their weddings. It can feel a bit overwhelming. So what I do is I break down the processes that people need to go through in order to supply their own wedding flowers.
So much, sorry for interrupting, but much like your book, Grow Your Own Wedding Flowers, this is not necessarily just for weddings. It could be for any event that you decide to have.
Yeah, any event. Mm-hmm. So, and they're really, really popular because wedding flowers are quite rightly very expensive. Mm-hmm. And it's right that they should be. They involve a lot of skill and stress and people, and it's hard work. But equally, if you feel like you're creative and you could do it yourself, absolutely, I'm a big fan of people doing their own things. And then there are, what was that one called?
The Grand Flower Arrangements Trio. So this one is like 3 different types of flower arrangements, and it would be for anybody, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anybody who wants to make a big I love making a big urn, and I've got loads of different big urns. And so to make a great big arrangement, like enormous, the one in that photograph is bigger than me.
Wow.
But equally, one of the other ones is a pedestal vase. Part of that trio is a pedestal vase arrangement, and that will be...
This is it right here, the pedestal with a little glass.
And that would be in a vase like this, one of the big constant spry vases. So we look at all the ways that you can make really impressive floristry. That's the constant spry.
Oh, there you go.
So we look at ways that you can make really impressive floristry with your own material from your own garden. And you don't even need this is a constant spry vase, but you could use anything. You could have, so this is a trifle bowl. Isn't that lovely? It's a dessert bowl.
It's beautiful.
And it's cut crystal. Can you hear it?
Yes, and yeah, I heard it. And it's like a way to use your things that have been passed down to you.
Exactly. If you've got a lovely piece of glassware or chinaware that was your grandmother's, and people have these things sitting on the sideboard, and they're beautiful on their own. But equally, why not use them for floristry? They're great filled with flowers. And people generally don't make their own trifle.
No.
Friday anymore. Those days are probably gone. So let's use these lovely vessels for other things. So those workshops and those demos are brilliant for people who want to just do more with their flowers and do more with their vessels that they've inherited or they found them in a thrift shop. All these. I found this in a thrift shop.
Oh, I love it. It's beautiful. Now, do you tend to have a recipe or do you go from your gut? How do you go about creating a bouquet?
I have a basic mix, so it's very ballpark, but it does work. If I'm harvesting, I'll harvest a third foliage, a third filler, and a third focal flowers. So most of my arrangements are about a third.
Okay.
And the garden is planted up in thirds, so it's about
Great.
a third filler and a third accent. So I know I've got enough to do the job. But then when I start doing the work, I quite often use things in a different order or not quite the right balance.
Just become creative as you see things. Yeah.
It works. If I go out there and I cut in thirds like that, I know I'll have plenty.
And that is one of the things that amazes me about you is you just mentioned that. I usually do a third. So my garden grows in 1/3, right? That is such a logical thing. Most people don't even, they just think, oh, I want this color, that color, and I want this flower. I have to grow this flower. But of course, I am a home gardener and you are a business. So you think differently.
One of my workshops I teach is called the Designer Cut Flower Patch one. Often what happens is, particularly if you grow things from seed, it's very easy to look at the seed catalogues and the photographs are really gorgeous. So you find that you order loads and loads and loads of one particular kind because you really love, people always have too many umbellifers. They have those lovely sort of lace cap flowers. And they do look fantastic in a garden because you get this lovely swathe of light, tiny little flowers. It's really pretty. But of course, if you're then cutting for floristry, you need some balance for that. You need some weight, and you need some foliage. And I just tell people, do plan. If you're going to be cutting a lot for floristry, then it's worth, yes, always have lace caps. But what are you going to have to go with them? What's going to be the balance for that? Mm-hmm. And if you begin to think like that, then it means that you'll have plenty to work with. I mean, obviously, I appreciate not everybody has a huge amount of space. Okay. But even in really quite a modest space, you can grow a really good cut flower patch.
Yeah. Actually, last year I did 2 little 4x4 areas, and that was my first year growing cut flowers. And oh my gosh, that was such an abundance. I always had fresh flowers for myself. Yeah. So as a home gardener, that was all I needed. Yeah. So it was fantastic. But I already told my husband, I have a bowling aisle kind of green patch. It's all going to be cut flowers.
I totally agree. Lawn is very last year.
Right?
Very over lawn. We don't need lawn.
Tell us more about your ethos, because I love hearing all your stories about, don't cut this. This is where the little baby aphids are going to be growing through the winter.
Well, the point of our business is that we wanted to have a place where the invertebrates could really thrive. And Fabrizio has a saying, he always says that if you look after the invertebrates, the rest of the food chain will look after itself. And we are obviously part of that food chain. What often happens with people thinking about wilding schemes or encouraging wildlife, what happens is people think about the big furry animals. They don't think about the little tiny ones. Mm-hmm. And big furry animals are all very good, but unless you've got the tiny ones, then the next size up animal won't have something to eat, and the next size up, and the next size up. By the time you get to the big furry animals, there's really not enough to eat. So we've got to start with the invertebrates. So the bees, the butterflies, the beetles. I'm reading a very interesting book about wasps. at the moment.
Ooh.
Great book about wasps and how useful wasps are in a garden environment. And so that's what we decided we would do, is we would make an amazing place for invertebrates. And obviously the invertebrates then fly from here. They go out into the fields and spread around. And then all the birds have got more to eat. All the beetles have got more to eat. Everybody's got more to eat, including us. Mm-hmm. And so that's a very, very important part of the way that we work. And for example, at this time of year, you mentioned that there are aphids, thick clumps of aphids overwintering on the willow, and we have a big willow crop here. So when I'm harvesting willow, we cut a lot of willow for our Christmas wreaths. I'm careful to not cut the whole stem if there's a big chunk of aphids, and they're always quite close to the crown of the tree. So I can just take my snips a foot or two further up and leave the aphids. They spend the winter there and feed the birds. And then I've got my willow to make my wreaths. That's just the way we work. I think with businesses, it is always easier. If you give yourself fairly strict parameters within which you work, it saves time. Mm-hmm. Because you have to make decisions about whether you're going to do something. So we garden organically. We would never use pesticides or herbicides, or we don't really use anything commercially made. And I don't pinch off the aphids, and I don't spray the aphids with soapy water, or I don't do anything. And it makes life much easier because that's not even a question I have to consider. There's less to do, in the same way that I only use British grown flowers. So I never have to think whether I could order in some peonies out of season, or because it's just not in my head, which means there's space for other things to happen, which is much better, I think. If you're running a small business, decide where your boundaries are, work within them, and sometimes you have to be much more creative, but that makes you more intelligent.
Here in America, everybody's moving. There's no roots. You have roots. I know your mom lives a couple of hours away. I don't.
Yeah.
And you grew up near Cambridge? No.
I grew up near Cambridge. Uh-huh. My parents live in Cumbria. I live in Somerset now, so I would say I feel quite unrooted.
Right? But you've been there for 15 years. Yes. And I mean, space-wise, those distances are like getting out of Texas.
Yes. That's the thing, is the UK, I think England would fit in Texas.
Yes.
So I guess in some ways it feels. I was talking to an Australian podcast the other day called Grown Not Flown, and one of them is English and so understands the distances, and he was exactly the same, saying, oh, well, Cornwall is like not going out of state for...
Right. So for me, when I hear that, one of your little clips was so beautiful. Something about the steps of your ancestors, this is yours, and then you panned over. And I was like, oh, to be able to say that.
I'm very lucky. My father's family have lived or been near or kind of around the village of Barban in Cumbria for 500 years.
I love that. That's fantastic.
Well, I think that's what, I think the English have that. We know where we come from.
Mm-hmm.
My boss at American Vogue, Miss Train, she was what's called a colonial dame. You got a paper trail to take you back to before the Revolution, the American Revolution.
Right.
Which really in the great scheme of things is not very long ago.
No, but for us, it's so far.
So I guess I know what you mean. Yeah, we do have, even though I grew up in Cambridge and I've lived in Paris and I've lived in London, I've lived here. So, and I think we'll stay in Somerset. I think whatever happens, I think we're based here now.
You grow well in Somerset, is that correct? Like, it's a good place to grow plants. How would you associate the zones from the U.S. zones?
Well, I don't really like the zoning system. It's unclear. The climate, well, I think you're much hotter.
Yes.
Texas is much hotter. We are HARDINESS Zone 8.
Yes.
Whatever that means.
Yes.
which is about how cold it gets in the winter. It doesn't get very cold for very long. So I think the fact that it can get to -6 Celsius, not Fahrenheit, is very misleading, because it only does that maybe 2 days a year, whereas most of the time we're very balmy. But we also have these long, slow springs and long, slow autumns, whereas in the States, I think the weather tends to be thick winter, snow up to the windowsills, and then you get 2 weeks spring, and then your full summer until September, when you get 2 weeks fall, and then the snow comes back. So it's kind of extreme. That we get. I mean, I can sort of smell the spring out there today, and we're the 10th or 11th of January. Very, very slowly, every day we get like 2 minutes more light, and slowly, spring really will start at the end of March. And then slowly, and I wouldn't call it summer till mid-June. We have a very, very gentle climate, I think, compared to most of the US.
Right. For us, it's just so hot that everything dies in the heat. And then in the winter, it's mild, what you would consider mild. And then we have a 20-degree day, which is like -3, 5, I don't know, and ice. And then it literally kills all the tropical plants, because we have to have the tropical plants. So it's a fight. That's why you will never find a Houston garden channel. Anyway, you can't, because nothing grows here. And so we live vicariously through you.
I mean, I just think we're very, very lucky where we live in the southwest of England. I wouldn't be a flower farmer with respect to everybody in the East, but I would really struggle to be a flower farmer on the East coast of the UK, because it's so much drier and so much hotter and more extreme. In the winter, it gets colder. It's a much tougher environment over in the East.
Right.
Whereas here in the West, it's wetter, warmer, slower seasons. Gentle.
So I guess that's why you settled there. When I was talking about being grounded and rooted, all the history and all of the old wives' tales. I know you're not superstitious, but all that fun stuff. As a writer, I think you should so tap into it, because you have all this innate knowledge, because you grew in the middle of this all, and then you have the specialized knowledge of flowers. How about writing a book about flowers? And
well, it's all possible. The writing is very much part of what's going to happen. Is happening, and I'm very excited because my publisher, tiny little publisher based in Cambridge called Green Books, were bought last year by Bloomsbury, who are very different to deal with and much more businesslike, which I really like. I like, and so we'll see. But again, as you say, you've got to. There's there's a tension here between the need to make a living and a need and a desire to do creative stuff.
Yeah.
And so, and the living has to come first.
I know, I hear you. So as a writer, though, I think I heard in one of your interviews or just one of your videos, your goal is to become a part-time writer in the morning and then farm in the afternoon. How can you accomplish that with all the social media stuff? And I guess you should go where the money is. As a business person, go where the money is, right? And the money right now is YouTube. And
it's a balance. So I always say to people when I'm talking about running small businesses, have more than one string to your bow, because then if something is not working, then you've got something else to fall back on. So we do wedding flowers. We do enormous amount of wedding flowers in the summer. I have my private clients who these flowers are for here. Mm-hmm. No, not very many of them, but it's nice regular income. Mm-hmm. Teach a huge amount of workshops. I write books when I can, but it's not a huge part of my income. I mean, it's like £10,000, £15,000 a year, which is fine, but that's not enough money for a family. Mm-hmm. And now I have completely taken me by surprise, but I now have YouTube. And it's not inconsiderable money, it's good money. So long as YouTube carries on building nicely, then I will be able to step back from some of the other stuff, and I will be able to afford to spend the time writing.
You are this amazing little package. You are. I mean, if I had the money, I'd be in every one of your workshops just to listen to you. Fangirl. I would. I just love your creativity, your common sense, you're smart. Girl, you're smart. You're a smart girl. And your Hermes, well, whatever you have right now.
Without an Hermes scarf.
I know. I can't afford an Hermes scarf, and much less to work in the yard.
Well, always wear your never wear. I always say, have really nice clothes, but don't keep them in the cupboard because you'll never wear them. Wear them every day and wear them out.
Yes, you look fabulous.
But what I really want is I want to encourage other people, and not exclusively women, but it is often women. I want people to know that they are allowed, that's the word, they are allowed to run a small business. They are allowed to run it really successfully. Being successful does not mean employing 15 people and spending your life behind a laptop, running your head around like a headless chicken in order to pay their salaries. Being successful means doing your own creative work and being paid enough for it,
right,
that you can carry on. And that is my mission, is to encourage people to think, okay, I'm going to have a go at whatever my dream is, but I'm going to be sensible about it. I'm going to strategize. I'm going to know how much it needs to pay, because otherwise I'm going to be in trouble. I'm not going to fly by the seat of my pants. I'm going to teach people to be proactive, not reactive. And a lot of people struggle to believe that they are allowed to make a really good living doing things on their own terms. And by all means, if you want to spend January in the Bahamas, maybe this approach isn't for you.
Right.
But if you want to live what I would call a good life and have faith that the future will be okay because you've worked it out, you can. You really can. And that is my job. And I guess what I'm doing is I'm teaching people creative problem solving with flowers as the example.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. It's like a whole philosophy. Not only that, you are also very good with the environment. So it's like two of your passions, and business appears to be your passion too, which one wouldn't think, but then you go like, wow, she is just constant in the business mode.
Well, I guess what I want to do is I want to be interested, which will then make me interesting.
Right.
Be interesting unless I myself am very engaged with the process. And I'm a really good florist, I've done this for a long time, so I'm very adept. You can't see the flowers, but they're here.
I will see it in the next video you put out, I'm sure.
Here they are.
Yeah.
I'm very adept with the flowers, and I love to share how to do that, because I want everybody to be able to do this. I don't want to be the only one. That's unfair.
Isn't that beautiful?
I want you all to be able to do this, but and so I will always share how to do this with people. But I want, not everybody wants to be a florist, but lots of people want to run their own business.
Yes.
And I would like to help. I would really like to help people have faith in themselves, be able to look at what they can do and work out whether they can sell it for enough money, whether they can make enough of them quickly enough to be able to turn it into their living.
Right.
And it's really massively anti the system. We were all taught, I think, that businesses need to grow themselves all the time. That's the point. It's sort of more for the sake of more. They just have to get bigger all the time. And what I want people to do is go, no, I don't want my business to get bigger all the time. That's crazy. It doesn't need to get bigger. Somebody else can have their business doing the same thing. We needn't compete. I'll make enough for me and you make enough for you and we're all happy. That doesn't mean we're doing a job badly, inexpertly, or that the business doesn't have value. What it does mean is that the value is is reflected in the way that we can all live our lives. I'm absolutely committed to helping people see this. And floristry and flower farming are often seen as a kind of living. I even had an email from a colleague just this week who said, this is always a tough business. And I'm like, I'm not sure it is that tough.
It's like, I haven't noticed.
Why is it always going to be tough? Don't talk like that. Yes, we've got to work hard, but no, it doesn't have to be a tough business. We can all make a good living. Why are you saying it's tough? So I have to go back to her and have a conversation with her because it doesn't need to be tough. And we're not rewarded for being busy or tired or striving against anything. That's not a reward. I want to be rewarded because by the fact that I have made enough money and my kids have got something to eat, but I'm also having an interesting time.
You are, and you're affecting change in other people's lives. I mean, that's such a huge purpose that even if you don't think it is a purpose, it is a purpose. I'm in the middle of a purpose series for people like us. We turn our 50 and now we need to leave our generational mark in this world. It's no longer just about me and the job that I made. It's like, what can I leave for my grandchildren, as far as memories or whatever. And I went over 100 different ways you can do that. And I'm going to create a flower farm or whatever it is that you have. There are several gardening little sprinkles in there, but I've mentioned you like several times in my videos already about this because purpose is such an important part of our lives as we age. At least for me, I can't live without
I think when you're younger, you've got to get a job, you've got to start earning money. If you're lucky, you earn enough and you can buy your house, and you're kind of on a rat race for a little while, and I completely get that. So it's very hard to sort of think like this when you're in your 20s because you don't know anything yet. You've got to go out and get as much experience as you can, work for other people, work for yourself, learn as much as you can. But then at some point it is really important, I think, that we all go, okay, what's this for? Why am I doing this? Unless what I'm doing my job for matters to me, and if I can encourage other people to be inspired by the way that I think about this, then happy days. Then I've done a good thing. On my gravestone, I wanted to say, this woman did a good thing.
Make sure you write that down. Tell Fabrizio and your children.
Fabrizio's going to have king of the breakfast. He's king of the cooked breakfast.
So he likes to cook? That's nice. You're lucked out.
There are ways that you can engage with Common Farm Flowers if you would like. You can start, and there's loads of free content, as you said, Catherine, very kindly coming along and saying, so start with my YouTube channel and it's fun. There's loads and loads of floristry. There are loads of can-do things. It's a little bit about living in England, a little bit about living in the countryside. As you say, there's plenty of old wives' tales and history, and because that's interesting. I read a lot, so there's a lot that goes in, so I have to get it out of my head, otherwise that gets a jam in the middle. So that's the YouTube channel, and there's also Instagram. I post most days on Instagram. That's fun and it's really enjoyable. Then I have my YouTube club, which I absolutely love, and it's a community of people who are really interested in growing flowers or small business or social media or just enjoy having a chat. And what we do is once a week during term time, we have a live session. So this afternoon, in a couple of hours, we've got a live, and we're talking about plants that we wouldn't be without today.
Nice.
And we always topic, and I put the topic out at the beginning of the week, and people send me their questions, and then we have a little chat, and that takes about an hour, and that's once a week during term time. And then I do demonstrations, and these are always live demos. On my website, you can book a place, and there are all kinds, from seed sowing to cutting flowers, so conditioning flowers, to doing all kinds of different floristry. At Christmas, we do wreaths and all. So all the way through the year, there's I think Easter, we do a living wreath, all sorts of stuff goes through the year. Have a look. And then if you want to get more serious, I have longer form workshops, which are a little bit more expensive. but they are very, very, very worthwhile. If you want to become a flower farmer, if you want to look at your career and change it, if you're thinking about starting a small business on your terms, that what I would call a lifestyle business, if you want to get going, restart your social media, consider why your social media doesn't work or what you want to get out of it, those are those workshops, and more serious workshops, which people can engage with. And then finally, one day maybe, Catherine, we have workshops here at the farm that we do in the summer, and they're really, really fun.
I'm planning, I just started yesterday, one of my friends who's from England, she said, I'm going in April, come meet me in May, because she's doing something, and we'll go visit all garden places. So yesterday I was looking at all your offerings, and unfortunately, like the date that I'm going early, you didn't have anything around that time. I'm like, oh!
You know why? May, the third week of May is the Chelsea Flower Show.
Yes.
And, the most fun you can have sober at 8 o'clock in the morning is 8 o'clock in the morning on press day at the Chelsea Flower Show. But I tend not to book anything in the run-up to it or at the beginning of that week. But the end of that week, I'm always really flat out with a big wedding because I need to make back the money I haven't made because I've been in London.
Right. So what I think I'm going to do, if I do go in the beginning of May, is I'm going to stay at the Bruton or whatever the name of the hotel.
Bruton, lovely hotel.
And I'm driving around your town so that when you're saying something, I will know what it is.
You have a lovely time. There are lots of really lovely things to do around here. There's Howser and Worth. There's the Newt. There are great gardens to go and see. There's King Arthur's Castle.
Oh, cute.
Cadbury Castle. There are all sorts of things. Stonehenge is only an hour away.
Oh, I must go. I'm into the woo-woo stuff.
No, Stonehenge is amazing.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, thank you so much. You really have made my day, made my week. One day I'll probably come to you for your social media strategy, because my channel is really dedicated to 50-year-old women from the US, UK, and Canada. And that's all I do.
In my 50s. My God, you don't take any shit from anyone when you're in your 50s.
I love that about you. Regardless of your age.
Don't take anything. Don't take any of that stuff.
That's right. Thank you, Georgie. You have a lovely day, a very productive day, and I do hope that everybody has a chance to go visit your channel and engage with all the offerings you have, because I think we all have so much to learn from you.
Oh, thank you so much, Catherine. It's really, really nice to meet you.
Anytime you want to do this again, just let me know, fangirl here.
I'll see you soon.
All right, bye-bye. Thank you.
Welcome.
I will see you guys soon.